Everybody, welcome. It is Monday, January 27th, and you're here for a Facebook Live about parenting without fear. And we're going to be talking about alternatives to spanking. Now, this is a hot button topic, I know, I realize that. We're going to get into that in a minute, but first of all, I want you to say hello, tell me where you're from. The link in the comments section is there for joining our Common Sense Parenting with Pam Facebook group. So grab that link and join our group. We'd love to have you. I also want to take this moment to say happy 8th birthday to my granddaughter, May. It's her birthday today. So happy birthday, May. We love you. And to let you know, the Parenting Vault is open for business. So from now until the end of January, it's offered at a 20% discount rate. But this is a subscription-based program that is a community of parents. We're all about common sense parenting for children ages 2 to 12. And lots of content will be in there. Every single Tuesday or Wednesday, I upload new content for you. So it's an ebook, it's a course, a webinar, a tip sheet, a mini guide, a chart, some kind of content that focuses on managing your children's behavior. Because I hear from followers a lot who struggle with that. And who doesn't? I mean, if you're a parent, you have children, you have behavior, you have to manage. So it's not always easy. So we'd love to have you join us. Just go to my go to my website, PamelaPalanza.com. Look at the top of the page under the navigation menu. You'll see Parenting Vault. There's lots of information there and the button for you to join. So hop on. We'd love to have you. Okay, today we are talking about parenting without fear, which is basically stop spanking your children. Okay, now that comment right there is going to get a lot of people upset. I've done multiple reels on spanking. I do not believe in spanking children. I was not spanked as a child. I did not spank my children because to me, managing behavior and disciplining your child is about teaching, guiding, showing the children what they need to do, setting expectations, providing consequences when they don't follow through in a positive, loving way. Spanking is instilling fear and pain, and your children are not learning from that. Well, all right, let me back up. They're learning to fear you. They're learning to not repeat that behavior because it's painful and it hurts. Okay, so people go, well, that makes sense. I spanked them, they stopped the behavior. Great, but what have you taught them? You've taught them, you misbehave, I spank you, it hurts, you don't repeat that behavior, that's it. And I fear you, I don't like you. When I grow up, I probably won't have anything to do with you. No, not always, I'm just saying, I do hear from followers who have totally cut contact with their parents because of the way they were disciplined. So let me back up here for a minute. There's spanking, and then there's abusing, beating somebody, harsh aggression and discipline. And quite frankly, to me, there's spanking and there's abuse, beating, but they still inflict pain. They still can cause emotional problems. There still can be issues associated with that. So, and I hear all the time from people that say in the Bible, it says, spare the rod and spoil the child. Okay. My eyeballs are rolling back in my head here on this one. You be you. I do not believe that what is in the Bible should be interpreted that way. I believe what is in there is loving and kind and guidance. You know, in the 23rd Psalm, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. I say that every morning when I say the 23rd Psalm. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Nowhere in there does that say that rod should be used for aggression, because that would not be comforting anybody. Okay, just my thoughts on it. And then the rod typically was that the shepherd had, his staff, his rod, where he used to nudge the sheep and guide them where he wanted them to go. Nowhere in there does it say he beat them to have them comply. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. Take it or leave it. Let's just get on to why spanking does not work and what you can do instead. And if you've just joined in, please tell me where you're from. Say hello and tell me where you're from. Okay, so let's talk about the harmful effects of spanking. And I have had followers tell me that they were spanked. And let me just say this. Usually people who spank, not always now, but usually people who spank were spanked. Hi, Elaine. How are you? They were spanked as a child, so they assume, well, that's normal and that's what you do. Okay. No, not always the case. So if you were raised and you were spanked and you didn't like it, then figure out how to do something differently with your children. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I do have followers who have totally cut contact with their family because of the way they were disciplined as a child. And it's sad. It's sad that A, that they had experienced that, and B, that then they don't have contact with their family. So, hey, Dawn. So just think about this. I mean, you may not agree with me. You don't have to agree with me. And I'll be the first to tell you, I'm all about common sense parenting. I have my opinions because I've been parenting for 45 years and I've been in childcare for 40 years. And I have 4 children and 8 grandchildren, and I say that all the time for a reason. Because I've done things, I see what works, I see what doesn't work. I see what's effective and what isn't. So you don't have to agree with me because I am not an expert. I do not have all the answers. I'm just sharing with you my experience and my wisdom and my knowledge. You can take it, you can leave it. I'm Switzerland here, I'm neutral, right? So you're all entitled to your own opinion. And if you don't agree with me, tell me in the comments. I don't agree with you. I'm perfectly fine with that. No, I don't judge. I'm just saying, I'm just giving you my opinion. All right, so let's talk about the harmful effects of spanking. Number 1, it hurts. I'm sorry. People go, well, I just tapped them on the bottom. Okay, so maybe that didn't hurt so much, the actual physical swat, but the emotional pain maybe comes with that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. It lowers your self-esteem because you think about this, you're a child. You love your parents or your grandparents or whoever is raising you, right? You love them. You look up to them. And they're hitting you because spanking is hitting, okay? Hey, Michelle. And exactly, trust girl. We're going to get into that. It's hitting. And I don't know why people try to say, well, it's just spanking. But spanking is hitting. You're taking your hand or a belt or a spoon or whatever you use, and you're hitting. You're physically hitting somebody. That's hitting. You can cushion it any way you want. You can give me all the reasons why you think it's okay. I'm giving you the reasons why I think it isn't. Okay? You just process that for a minute. You are striking another person. So what do you think that teaches your child? If that's my parent or my grandparent, a person who loves me, and they're hitting me, I must not be a good person. And they may not be aware of that when they're a young child, but they internalize that, right? As they get older, they're like, what the heck? What were they hitting me for? There are other things I could have done. Why was I not worthy enough? What was wrong with me? And they think there's something wrong with them. Actually, it's the other way around. Oh, okay. I'm not judging. I'm just saying parents don't always have the skills they need to parent in a correct way. Okay. And then it gives them mental health challenges. We're going to talk about that in a little bit too. So I know people go, well, I just swatted them and they stopped the behavior and it's all good. Well, no, it really is not good because you're doing harm to your child. Intentional harm to your child. Now, we've all done things that maybe we've said things to our children, or we've done something we're like, geez, I wish I could have gone back and done that differently. But you can't take back the pain of striking somebody. I don't care how many times you say you're sorry. It just doesn't happen. All right, let me see. John's coming in. Yes, Michelle. Actually, that's one thing I was going to talk about. So Michelle said it's okay to do it to others also, and that's exactly what they learn. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. But discipline is teaching, guiding, correcting their negative behaviors in a positive, loving, respectful way. Punishment, that's inflicting pain and fear. That's spanking. There are other ways too, but that's spanking. Okay. So it does not instill respect, which is what you want for your child. It doesn't instill teachable moments. It doesn't instill lessons they need for life. And I always call it teaching your child how to be in the world. All right. You raise them because your job as a parent is to raise an adult, right? They start off as a baby, but they grow and develop and they become an adult. And they have to go out in the world and they have to contribute to society and they have to know how to function. And if you're not doing your job right as a parent, they're not learning those skills. Because if you're not teaching them to them, where else are they learning them, right? You are their first teacher. You are the person they love and respect and model. Okay, so here we go. Okay, spanking instills fear. It instills humiliation, resentment. Now, as young children, they might not be able to identify those emotions, but as they get older, they certainly will, okay, and resent you for it. And then it breaks down their trust in you. And that's one thing Michelle said, trust. It breaks down their trust with you, because why would I trust you if you're the person who's supposed to love me and you hit me? Why would I trust you? No, I don't want to be anywhere around you. I would fear you, and I would not want to be anywhere around you. And yes, I would curtail my behavior because you're going to hit me if I don't. And I don't know any adult that wouldn't curtail their behavior if someone hit them when they did it. Okay, out of fear, not respect, not love, out of fear. Because you know, oh, if I do this, I'm going to get hit. Okay. I could go on and on. I mean, I literally get on a soapbox about this. I feel very strongly about it. Okay, and then they're not learning the reason all the time when they were hit, other than, well, you did this, spank, spank, spank. But where's the discussion? Where's the problem solving? Where's figuring out what they could do differently? Where's the boundaries and the consequences and the teach them to be resilient and adaptable and responsible and respectful? Where is all that? It's not. It's not there, because you're not taking the time to do that. Because I'll tell you what, here's what I think. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of feedback on this too. Spanking is easy. Sure. You can do it anywhere. Takes seconds. Kids misbehaving, spank them, done. It's easy. Parents don't always want to take the time to invest in learning the skills they need to become a better parent, so they don't need to use spanking. And that, honestly, I find one of two reasons why they spank. Well, let's say three. That's the way they were raised. They don't want to invest the time. It's just easier to spank, or because they think the Bible tells them to. Okay? So it also then normalizes violence. And that's what Michelle had said. Hey, Susanna. Michelle had said it's okay to do it to others. So remember what I told you. And I get tired of hearing myself say this, quite honestly. You are a model for your children. So you were hitting your children. You're spanking them. So what do you think they've learned? If somebody does something to me I don't like, I can just hit them. That's okay, because that's what you do. That's what I was raised with. If I did something my parents didn't like, they hit me, so I guess that's what I should do. If somebody does something I don't like, I'll just hit them, right? That's how you solve your problems. And you see how that cycle then continues? Okay. Hey, Casey, jumping in here. So, yeah. Let me tell you a story, and I may have told you guys this before on another Facebook Live. Years and years ago, I mean, 40 years ago, maybe? No, maybe 35 years ago. I was asked to come speak at a local high school for a group of teen moms. And I went in, we were talking about behavior management. That's what I was talking about. Because some had just had babies, or they were getting ready to have their babies. These are 15, 16-year-old girls. And so I was doing this whole thing about positive discipline and setting boundaries and consequences and all the stuff I'm talking about 35 years later. And I'll never forget, this one girl raised her hand and she goes, "That's how you do it." She said, "My mama's mama spanked her. My mama spanked me. I'm going to spank my baby." Okay, do you see what I'm saying here? You parent as you're parented. Do you see that cycle continued? And I looked at her and I said, just because they did it doesn't mean it's right. And she just stopped and looked at me, because she just assumed that's how you discipline your children. Okay? Let's see who else is in here. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to say your name right. Sydney and Catherine, hello. Sydney, yes, so Sydney asked me, is it possible to reverse the behavior? Yes. If you are a spanking parent, you need to stop. We're going to talk about some ways to do that. I have a lot of content in my Parenting Vault that will be talking about that. There are many ways you can learn how to stop spanking. It's not going to be something that is going to happen overnight for you, maybe, because, you know, it's something you've been doing and it's a learned behavior. Now you have to change that learned behavior, and it's a process. So give yourself grace. Forgive yourself if you've been doing it. Learn how to be different, how to parent more effectively. Okay, Emmy. Okay, Emmy, thank you for jumping in on this. Emmy is my Sunday night bud. We talk every Sunday night for an hour about parenting. We talked last night. Good conversation, Emmy, as always. Okay, Emmy says spanking is also not effective for neurodivergent ADHD kids, bingo, and can actually provoke more negative behaviors. So, Emmy, thank you for bringing that point up because that is so important for people to understand. So, let's say you have a neurodivergent child or a child with ADHD. And I understand how overwhelming that can be sometimes and how frustrating it can be and how you're pulling your hair out some days. So, you spank your child, which then escalates their negative behavior. And then you ramp up. Okay? So, maybe you spank harder or you spank more. So, do you see what happens as parents if we're not in control of our emotions and how we manage our children's behavior, how things can escalate pretty quickly? As a parent, it is your job to be in control. It is your job to manage behaviors effectively. And I did this whole Facebook Live about stop yelling at your children. Because typically I'll see the yelling and the spanking sometimes go hand in hand. Because the parents are just so frustrated and so overwhelmed. They yell, and then the kids still aren't listening because when you yell over and over, they stop listening to you anyway. They tune you out. So it's ineffective, but then you get frustrated and then you spank. Does that make sense? Okay. And Michelle says sometimes they want that negative behavior. Yes, because guess what? Michelle, thank you. You bring up an excellent point. So your children want your attention, negative or positive. They want your attention and they will do anything to get it. So they do something wrong, you spank them. Now they've learned, oh, if I want her attention again, and I know this sounds like bizarre, but this is how it works. Oh, if I want their attention again, I need to do that again, and then they'll spank me again, and then I'm getting the attention. Okay? Doesn't make sense, but it does. It's also the same way with positive behavior. When they're managing their behavior properly and they're doing something appropriate and you acknowledge that and you comment on it and you praise them for it and you reinforce that, they want to do more of that because it's getting attention. That's positive attention. Okay, let's move on this. Okay, and then it teaches them aggressive behavior. So research actually shows that children who are spanked are more aggressive. As adults even, they're aggressive because that's how they know to solve problems. It doesn't teach them. They're aggressive with their siblings, with their peers, with their friends, because that's how they manage their behaviors. Michelle, okay. Michelle, thank you for sending these comments. For all of you who are sending these comments, I love this engagement. Okay, because Michelle's saying, I'm learning this because I was a yeller. Once I stopped, they walk away. Children, when you yell, I don't know about you, but for me, for example, someone starts yelling at me, right away, I'm not physically doing this, but I'm like tuning them out because your body goes into fight or flight. You go into survival mode. You stop listening. So now as a parent, you're yelling at your child and they don't listen to you, and then you yell again or you yell louder, and then you're like, why aren't you listening to me? And then your kids start yelling back at you. You go, why are you yelling at me? You get it? Okay. All right. So the negative impact, not only the harm, the pain, the emotional toll, it increases anxiety because they never know when they're going to get hit for what. Okay, so they're always anxious, walking on eggshells around their parents. Like, oh my God, if I do that, I'm going to get hit. It lowers their self-esteem, which we've talked about. They don't feel worthy. If you're my parent and you love me and you hit me, I must not be a good person. I must not be worthy. I'm a bad little boy or girl. And sometimes parents even say that when they're spanking their child. Okay, and then trauma. It leaves emotional scars. It does. I mean, I hear from my followers all the time about it. And I'm telling you, when I hear or read a follower telling me that they were abused as a child, like, okay? Just thinking about it. Same thing with spanking. There's no need for it. There's not a need for it. You can change that behavior very simply, and we're going to talk about some of that. Okay, so spanking doesn't teach them self-regulation. It doesn't teach them problem solving. It doesn't teach them how to handle issues that arise. But we want you to do that for your children. So let's talk about things that you can do instead. Okay, positive reinforcement. And every single one of these things I'm telling you about, we have talked about. And if you go to my podcast, go to my website, just click on the podcast. I did 10 episodes with 10 foundational skills, all basic skills children need to learn to be productive adults in our world. We talk about problem solving, self-control, emotional regulation, responsibility, respect, adaptability. I mean, 10 skills. So some of these things I'm talking about, And we only have like 18 minutes, 16 minutes left. So I'm going to try to get into these. If you have any questions, by the way, go ahead and pop those in the comment section while I'm doing this. But so I'm going to go over these pretty quickly because I do want to allow time for questions. But you can go back and listen to those podcasts. On the 22nd, I think it was. Yes, I did a podcast about spanking, not spanking. So I go over some of these same things there. So you can go back and listen to that as well. And then, of course, this will also be up on my Facebook page this afternoon. So I have a section for Facebook Lives, and you can go in there and listen to this over again. Okay, positive reinforcement. You reward good behaviors, positive behaviors. Then they learn that gets good attention, and, oh, I want to do that again, right? So your child, say, playing with their brother. Nice. Here's what typically happens. They're playing, you walk past, you say nothing. They hit each other, then all of a sudden, they have your attention. Okay, but how about this? You walk past and you go, I love the way you guys are playing together. Way to go. You should be proud of yourselves. Do you see the difference? Then they're like, oh, I want some more of that. That felt good. I want more of that. Hey, Linda. Okay, so positive reinforcement, very effective. I'm all about positive discipline. Now, let me just say, and if you know me and you've listened to me, I am not a gentle parenting fan. Hi, Tom. I'm not a gentle parenting fan to a point. Now, a lot of what gentle parenting is about is great. So there are some effective things in there. But I think people misunderstand what it is and take it to a level that is just wrong. Okay. And so we're seeing this generation of children growing up that have a lot of behavior issues. That's a whole nother Facebook Live. Hey, Tanya. So if people know what it is and know how to use it right, awesome. But a lot of people don't, and they misinterpret it. And then, yeah. So positive discipline, respect, kindness, gentleness, guidance. That's what I'm about. It's common sense. And, you know, it's simple as this. You ask yourself, is this common sense for me to be doing this? Is this common sense for my child, for me to allow my child to be doing this? Yes or no? I mean, it's that basic. So ask yourself that question. You know, if I'm reacting this way and I'm screaming at my child, is that common sense? Does that make sense? No. So what do I need to do to change that behavior? And you go into problem solving mode, research mode, education mode. Okay, setting clear boundaries. I call them expectations. Your children need to know what you expect of their behavior at all times. And they also need to know the consequences if they do not comply with those expectations, right? And then you need to follow through with them. This is not rocket science. This is common sense. I tell you, here's what I expect from you. You do it, awesome. You don't, here's your consequences. Or you do, here's your consequences, right? It can be positive or negative. Like, we're going into the store and we're going to be in there for 15 minutes. Here's how I expect you to behave. And if you do, great, awesome. You know, give you a big hug, or we'll get ice cream after, or whatever. If you don't, then this is going to happen to you. But then you follow through with it. You don't change your mind or go, oh, never mind, or I'm too tired, we'll get it. Like, nope. You do it immediately. They need to understand you mean what you say. So you say what you mean and you mean what you say. You mean what you say. And they need to understand that. And when you do that consistently, they're going to quickly learn they have to comply, because there's negative or positive consequences in everything you do in life, right? That's just life. I'm sorry. You can't go out in the world and police come to arrest you for a speeding ticket, or, you know, come after you for a speeding ticket, and you're like, yeah, no, it's okay. I didn't mean to. Could you forgive me? Like, it's okay. No, it's not okay. I mean, that's just a crazy example, but no, there are consequences to behaviors. You speed, and there's a really good chance you're going to get a ticket. And whose responsibility was that? Yours, because you were controlling the car, right? So you got to teach those consequences to your children at a young age, because when they're adults, they're going to face them, and they need to learn how to be equipped to handle it. Okay. Hi, Tanya. Tanya and Tanya. Okay. And then natural consequences. Here we go. Grandkids were here this past weekend. Earlier this week, actually, we had snow. I live in the South, 5 minutes from the beach, but we had 4 inches of snow, which a lot of places in the country did. So they wanted to go out and play. So my grandson runs out, he's 7, without a coat on. And I was like, you need a coat. He's like, I don't want a coat, I'm fine. Okay. I told him, okay, fine. Let him go outside. Go. Go feel your freezing butt when it's 20 degrees out there and you don't have a coat on. 5 minutes later, he was in the house. He's like, I need a coat. Good. That's not your consequences. I could have hounded him. I could have yelled at him. I could have said, you're not going outside. I was like, okay, go ahead. See what happens. I didn't have to tell him anymore after that. That's not your consequences. Let me see what some of these comments are real quick. Erica from Santa Paula, California. Hello. Linda, your 10-year-old grandson's learning to cook. He uses a hot fire which burns the pan. So I tell him if you burn pans, you need to take Brillo and scrub them. And he hasn't burned a pan since. Thank you. Natural consequences. I pull Xbox cords and remotes to TVs. Thank you, Christy. Good one. Good one. Hi, Esther, and hi, Ian. I hope I'm saying that right. Okay. Modeling the behavior. Here we go again. Modeling. Show empathy, kindness, respect. Teach them the skills that they need to be good human beings in the world. But you have to model that. You have to teach them self-control because you need to have self-control. So they learn how to mimic that versus the aggression. I mean, which would you prefer for your child? Like, honestly, common sense here, which would you prefer? That your child or your children grow up to be kind, loving, respectful, positive, happy, productive adults, or aggressive little snots? I mean, seriously, I'm just going to lay it out there because I'm pretty direct and honest. Which would you prefer? Common sense. I go this way. Okay. And emotional coaching, helping children to navigate their emotions, identify their emotions, and how to deal with them. And Emmy, I'm going to talk about you for a minute here. Because, like I said, Emmy and I talk every Sunday night for an hour. It's amazing. And Emmy recently put a calming corner in her son's bedroom. He's just turned 4. Happy birthday, Austin. And when he gets upset, he now is learning that he goes into the calming corner to chill. And so there's softness in there. There's pillows, blankets, toys to play with to distract him. It's basically a distraction for it. But children learn to go in there, calm down, emotionally regulate themselves because they need to learn how to do that for themselves. Now, as parents, you can guide them at first, but then they need to learn that for themselves because you are not always going to be around to do that for them. They need to learn that. So he goes, and then he calms himself down, and then when he's ready, he comes out. Okay? That's positive discipline. That's positive behavior management. Linda could yell at him. She could spank him. She could make him sit in time out. All of these things that are teaching a child how to behave in the world. So, Emmy, I'm so proud of you for doing that, and it's working. So, I love that. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to give you some time for some questions. But parenting is about teaching, not controlling. And when you're spanking and you're instilling fear and aggression in your child, that's controlling. And we want this and not this. Okay? Does that make sense? If it makes sense to you, put yes in the comment section. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions on this. For those of you who jumped in late, the Parenting Vault is open now. It's a subscription-based program. You can find all the details on my website, PamelaPalanza.com. Click on Parenting Vault at the top. This is a month-to-month fee, but there's no contract. So you can hop in and then you can hop out if it's not for you. That's totally fine. But it's every single week I put up new content managing how to manage children's behavior. Okay? Let's see. Michelle, good. It makes sense to you. Judy, good. It makes sense to you. I'm glad because you know what? This makes sense to me. And I will tell you. Okay, Sydney. Sydney, am I saying your name right? Ian, you're saying yes, question mark, maybe, maybe not, yeah? Sydney, first of all, am I saying your name right? Sydney, it looks to me like it. You have a 2-year-old who fusses every time it's time to leave her grandparents after a long day of work. Oh, that's just normal. That's normal. You just comfort them because they're with their grandparents all day and they want to, they love their grandparents. They want to be with them. And they probably get spoiled a little bit maybe with grandma and grandpa. So that's normal. They'll get a little bit older and that'll stop, I'm sure. So Ian, so you meant yes. Okay, good. Linda, yes. Renee, I'm glad you caught the live. Renee said her 10-year-old is my hard kiddo, just constantly arguing about everything. Just trying to digit out how to stop the back and forth without escalation. Okay, thank you, Sydney. I'm saying your name right. Great. Okay, Renee, here's what I need to say about that. So first of all, thank you for bringing that up because every child is different. You know, I had 4 children. I have 4 children, and they're all different, and that's what they should be. So you learn as a parent. That's why I always say, as a parent, you need to have a parenting toolkit, and you have lots of different toolkit, lots of tools in that kit, and you figure out which one works for which child. So constantly arguing about everything. If there's constant argument, you're allowing the constant arguing. Now, I'm not judging you on this. I'm just saying no means no. Here's how it's going to be. You don't have to like it. I used to tell my kids this. I'm the parent. I'm in charge. You don't have to like it. But you do have to follow my rules because this is my house. Now, when you're 18, you can go out and do what you want in the world. But in my house, I'm older than you. I have more wisdom than you. I have more life experience. I love you. I want the best for you. And this is the way it's going to be. No arguing. And if they argue, go to your room. You can go to your room. You can be mad at me all you want. Just go to your room. When you're ready to talk, we can come back. If they start being disrespectful, you can remove yourself. Okay? And when you're ready to calm down, we'll come back and talk. Have discussions, teach problem solving. Go back to the podcast I did with those 10 foundational skills. Listen to some of those. They're only like 10, 15 minutes long. I try to keep them short and sweet. But listen to some of those and see if that wouldn't help you a little bit. Okay. Hello, Sandra from London. Judy. Okay. I have an almost 4-year-old grandson who refuses to poo on the potty. Help. Nothing is working. Okay. I'm going to tell you something that could work. Anybody else who has suggestions, pop them in the comment section there. Judy, you could also join our Common Sense Parenting with Pam Facebook group. The link is in the comment section here. It's a free group. I think we have 908 members now. You're welcome to put questions up there, and you get answers from not only me, but from lots of parents. Here's what you can do. When he's on the potty, give him a balloon to blow up. Now, supervise this. Make sure he's not allergic to latex, please. But you sit there and you supervise very closely. When he's blowing that balloon up, the same muscles he uses to blow the balloon affect the sphincter muscles, and they'll release, and he can poop. Okay? Try that. Okay. Christy says, oh, he also has OCD. Okay, so there's something else at play there. All right, so any other parents have suggestions, hop in here. Oh, Jude, Renee, you're saying about your child. Sorry, you're saying about your child. I'll go back up here. He has OCD. Okay, you have your hands full, honey. Bless you. So parents, we need help. Renee needs some help. Give her some ideas here. Christy, I tell them the conversation is over and not up for discussion anymore, and then I stop talking to them. Excellent. Excellent. And I did a reel about this the other day. You're welcome, Judy. I did a reel about this the other day where I said, be the parent. I've done this similar reel multiple times. You're the parent. They don't have to like your rules and your expectations and your behaviors, as long as you're being reasonable, right? You're not harming your children. They don't have to like it. And it's not up for discussion. No, that's the way it's going to be. Now, it may be you sit down, and I have a whole thing about home agreements where you agree on behaviors and how you're going to conduct yourself as a family. And then there's one on responsibilities. Everyone has to contribute to part of the family. Great. But when I say no, I mean no. You're not my peer. You're not my peer. You are my child. I am your parent. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I would just tell my children, get over it. It's the way it's going to be till you're 18. I wasn't mean. And that's where I have an issue. I'll get into this for a minute. Let me go back up here for a minute. Make sure I'm getting all these. Erica, I have 4, 3, and 2-year-old. My grandbabies have been through a lot of trauma. The oldest first instinct is to hit. He's very aggressive. Calming corner worked very briefly, and now is regressing to aggressive behavior. Okay, so I would wonder how long was the calming corner working, and are there any other strategies you're trying? Because if this is how he was raised and been through that trauma, that's a learned behavior, and he's not going to stop that just overnight. That's going to be a process. It might even be that counseling might be in order for this, depending how bad the trauma was. And you don't have to go into detail on this for public, but I'm just saying it might be a play therapist would be great for something like this, and find some other techniques that might work. He can draw his feelings. You can show him social emotional faces. And I know we're going over here, and I'm happy to stick around if you want to stick around for a little bit longer. You can get their social emotional cards with the faces, and he can talk about how he's feeling instead of hitting and being aggressive. Okay, Michelle, all about self-control. I also have an argumentative one She'll push every button I've got, loop earplugs and ignore. Yep, walk away. You're the adult, walk away. You don't have to listen to them. That's why I think that, and I'm old school. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm 66 years old. I'm old school. I never, ever raised my voice to my parents, was disrespectful to my parents, acted out to my parents because it wasn't tolerated. I wasn't spanked. I wasn't yelled at. But I had total respect for my parents. They were my parents, and they let you know that. My father would go, hello, I'm the father. I didn't ask your opinion. And I'm going to digress here for a minute, because this is where I think people get confused on some parenting techniques. My father would say, it's time to go clean your room. Okay, I got to clean my room. There was no negotiations, no discussion on why, no explanation, no talking about how I felt about it. Go clean your room. Yes, sir. I mean, I didn't have to call him sir, but go clean your room. Done. Because my father or my mother asked me to do it. People today discuss way too much with their children, talk to them way too much, talk at them way too much, explain everything, ask how the child feels about everything. Okay. Linda, my little 3-year-old pees on the potty standing up, and when he's done, he wipes off the seat and flushes it. That's adorable. Good. Teach him young. You know, I raised 2 boys. You know how many times I went in and found pee on my seats? That would drive me crazy. All right. Tanya, sticker for good potty. He can put a sticker and put it on a calendar, and then at the end of the week, get a dollar toy. Good. So let me just say, children, that's good. So he gets a sticker on when he potties. Okay, every week get him a dollar toy. Good. You're giving him the sticker. So young children need instant gratification. So give him that sticker. That's that instant gratification. And then saying, when you get all these, you get this. So that's another motivation. But you have the combinations. That's beautiful. If you just said, get a sticker every day and you're going to get at the end of the week, you're going to get a toy. That's like, forget it. But that sticker, especially when you let them pull it off the paper themselves and put it on that thing. So peeling it off, well, actually, letting them pick the stickers out at the store is number 1 motivation, right? And then they get to peel it off, and then they get to put it on the paper. It's like bam, 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 okay? So he does good. All right, Renee, my oldest was like that too with pooping. We hung up a bag of prizes in the bathroom for him to see it. It was motivation. There you go. That's a great idea. Oh, Linda, good, you did that. Michelle, I can still hear her, but not as much. If she's too impulsive with the argument, I just ignore her until she calms down. Let me just tell you, I would tell my children, go to your room. I'm not arguing. This is not up for I would say this is not up for discussion. End of story. And if they would start getting like little mouthy, my kids really weren't bad kids, but if they, they're kids. So I'd say you go to your room, and when you can come back and talk with me with respect, we'll sit down and discuss this. But I'm your mother. I'm not going to listen to that. Period. I don't care how they felt. I'm going to tell you right. I don't care how they felt. I am the mother. You are to have respect for me. I respected my children. You have respect for me. And if you can't have respect for me, remove yourself physically from me. Go to your room. I don't care. Go play in your room. I don't care what you do in your room. Just remove yourself. Go in another room. Move your body away from me. And when you're done, calm yourself down or think you can talk to me with respect. We'll chat. Until then, end of story. Now, some people might think that's harsh. I didn't say it nasty. I wasn't hateful. I wasn't mean. I laid down my boundaries, right? Here's what I will tolerate. That's your job as a parent. Okay. Let's see. Ian, any suggestions for picky eaters? My son is 9 years old and only eats chicken nuggets and noodles. He drinks milk but not water. Huh. That's a good one. At 9 years old, they shouldn't be that picky still. That's normally when they're younger. Unless there's something going on physically with him. Have you talked to the pediatrician about this? Why they drink milk but not water? I mean, that's interesting. I don't know. I've heard from some parents that said they had children that were older, but it turned out to be like sensory issues or texture issues with their children, or they have, I don't know what this is, AFRID, AFRID, if I'm saying that right. So if anybody has suggestions there, please pop that in there. And then Christy, you're right. We're guilty of talking too much. We're exhausted. I'm serious. When I am out in public and I hear parents, it's like that Charlie Brown, the teacher, and I hear parents just talking at these like 2 and 3 year olds. Like, over and like, why did you do that? Let's talk about it. How are you feeling about that? What can we do? No, just go, no, can it? Can it? That's what I said to my kids, can it? They know how they're supposed to behave. Can it? My 3-year-old grandson, I think I was telling a story. He just turned 3 in December. Walking across the parking lot at the library, he starts to run. I said, you need to stay with me. We're in a parking lot. You need to hold my hand. You need to be safe. It's my job to keep you safe. So he plops himself on the ground. Now, do you think for 1 second I stopped and talked about him, sat down, how he felt about it, what he should have? No, I picked him up, and I said to him, you either get up on your own or I'm going to pick you up at your choice. He looked at me. I picked him up, carried him over, put him on the sidewalk. He was fine. I said, you don't have to talk about everything. It's exhausting, okay? We had a 2-bite rule. We'll not make other food until 2 bites. Okay. Some people do a no thank you bite, which is you could say, well, I don't want to eat it. Well, you just try it. Take 1 bite. And if you don't like it, you don't have to have it again. I had another follower tell me the other day for her children, and I think their child was maybe around 7 or 8, and the same thing. They were very particular about only specific foods. So what they would do is only put like the vegetables out first. And once the children had the vegetables, then they got the meat or the other stuff. So there's lots of ways you can do this. Renee. Okay, we're going to go to like 1 o'clock on this one. Okay. Renee, too much talking. Yes, it is. This stems from therapy. I can tell you this, but my oldest will not stop. He will follow you around 45 minutes plus. No way. And I think that's where I personally have an issue with the whole gentle parenting thing, because I see parents in public and I observe. I keep my mouth shut because that's their children. They can raise them any way they choose. But I see the results of children who have been talked at all the time or asked how they feel about every blooming thing under the sun. And parents try to reason with them, and especially when they're tantruming. You know how I feel about that as well. And if you don't, just go back and listen to some of my other stuff. You'll know quickly how I feel about what to do when your children are tantruming. But just stop it. It's exhausting. It is exhausting to listen to that. It's exhausting for your children. And let me just tell you, they're not hearing you anyway. They're like, la, 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 la. Listen, I'll tell you, I have a friend I've been friends with for 30 years. Love her to death, but she doesn't shut up when she calls. She'll talk, and I'm not kidding you, for 30 minutes straight, barely taking breaths. And you know what I do? Tune her out. Literally. And it's terrible to say this. She's an adult. And I'll listen. I'll be working on, I have no clue what you just said. She just keeps on talking. I'm not hearing anything she said. It's like grating on my nerves to listen to that. Same thing with your children. I'm sorry. I don't care what you think. They're not hearing you. They might get a little snippet of it. They're not hearing you. Okay. Kathy, my son saw an ad for FlexiBlocks on TV. Let me see this. All right. Oh, Lord. Let me see. This is going on. Okay. My son saw an ad for FlexiBlocks on TV and asked if he could have some. I went up to the TV and started reading the ad and said, I'm sorry. It says only little boys and girls that pee and poop in the potty can have them. Okay, the next morning he came running into our room and said, I did it. Now I can have FlexiBlocks. Ordered those right then. It worked. Wait, this flipped down. It worked, and best lie I ever told. Tracing my fingers over the TV words, knowing he couldn't read or realize I was fibbing to him, all with straight face. Best lie I ever told. Okay, you know what? Sometimes it works. I'm not saying you lie to your children. I'm just saying sometimes those kind of things like work, right? Okay. Christy said her son falls around, talks in circles. Okay, but let me ask you something. When they're talking, where are they learning that from, right? If you're doing that to them, they're learning back. That's what they need to do. And let me just tell you something. And I always try to say to people, you're teaching your children how to be in the world. When they go to college or trade school or work or university or get a job, do you think for 1 second that a boss is going to care how they feel about things? Do you think they're going to listen to your child yakking? Do you think they're going to like, oh, it's okay if you didn't. Let's sit down and talk about it. No, that's not the real world. And I had one lady say to me one day, well, I hope by the time my child's at work, he'll have a boss that's just like him and understands. Yeah, maybe. But guess what? Probably not. And that's where we see children now that are 15, 16, 17, 18 years old do not know how to function at a job, don't know how to be on time, don't want to show up for work because they think it's all about them. Because it always has been at home, all about them, right? Okay. My daughter is the same way. Yesterday she stood in front of me trying to block me from TV. How old is she? I just closed my eyes, took a deep breath. She walked away. Every time she came back, I do the same thing. Wow. How old is she, Michelle? I mean, yeah. I would just love to see me stand in front of the TV for my mother or father when I was a kid. I wouldn't even think to do that. See, the fact that she's even thinking to do that is what I'm talking about. And I'm not criticizing you at all. I'm just saying there's the difference from the way I was raised and the way children are being raised today. The way I raised my children is the way I was raised. I'm your parent. You have respect for me. I'm in charge. You don't have to like it. You can go out when you're 18. God bless you. I'll support you. I'll help you move, right? But children today, she's 13 and has ADHD. Well, I had kids with ADHD too. I get it. I don't know what the DMDD is, so I'm lost on that one. So yes, okay, so you might have some issues going on there. But I would never think to do that to my parents, and I would never, if one of my kids did that to me, and they would never think to do that to me. Because guess what? They would have consequences for that behavior. Instant. And I didn't spank, I didn't yell. I'd start removing privileges. They'd have to stay in the room. They'd have to do extra chores. I would remove a privilege just like if they were supposed to go somewhere. No. You are the parent. They need to have respect for you. And a mood disorder. Okay. I have a lot of people that, and I'm getting into another topic here where people get a little bit upset with me. Do you notice that? People get upset with me sometimes. That was sarcastic because they do, and it's okay. I had children with ADD. That is not an excuse. And sometimes now, let me just say this. Sometimes my kids didn't have ADHD. They had ADD. Sometimes kids, depending how severe that is, this can be a serious issue. And I'm not downplaying that, and I'm not dismissing that at all. But I am saying, and I worked with children with special needs before. Sometimes I find that parents try to use that as an excuse of why their children can't behave the way they're supposed to behave. And yes, they can. You may have to do a little differently. You may have to work over and over and over and over on it. But they can learn how to behave. Because guess what? They're going to have to learn how to behave when they're out in the world. All right? People aren't going to coddle them or make excuses for their behavior or give reasons why they don't have to. They're going to have to. Or they're going to have consequences that might not be pretty when they get out in the world. That's when they can get fired from a job or have problems with coworkers or supervisors or authority or whatever it is. They still have to learn how to behave. So you might have to just, change a little bit. I'm not upset. I'm trying. Okay, good. But you're trying. See, you're trying. You're doing the right thing. You're not making excuses. Okay, Lorelei, I love that name. Grandma living with son, 20 male grandson, 14 male grandson. On Valentine's Day, 2-year-old grandson. Today's my birthday. Happy birthday, Lorelei. So I'm just saying, and that's a whole other topic. I don't want to delve into this too much. I work with children with special needs. I have a son with special needs. I have grandchildren with special needs. That's not an excuse for them not to learn how to behave. And so I think as parents sometimes, people use that because they don't know what to do maybe, or they don't know how to manage it, and they just go, oh, well, they have this, and so it's okay. No, it's not. It's not okay at all, because they still have to learn how to behave when they leave your house. Does that make sense? Okay, it's 1:03. I could yak on this all day, but I'm not going to. So thank you for joining in today. I really appreciate all the comments, sharing opinions with each other, sharing ideas. Again, if you're not in the Common Sense Parenting with Pam group, go to the link on the comments section here, or go to my Facebook page, PamelaPalanza.com, and right up on the navigation menu, it says Facebook group. Just go in, answer. There's 4 questions. You have to answer them all. And then I'll review your profile and admit you. And this is a great place to put these questions that you have, because I don't obviously have all the answers for everything. And we have a lot of parents in there who do have neurodivergent children, who do have children who don't want to poop on the potty, who have issues with eating. And Ian, jump in. I mean, it's for grandparents, parents, moms, dads, whoever that are raising children. We'd love to have you on there. Okay, until next week, guys, remember, hug and love your babies. Bye, y'all.